The Jackson County Health Department, Matthew Budd. Matthew, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again.
Deputy,
Yeah.
good morning.
Morning.
You overheard I was at the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
that kind of falls under your scope, doesn't it, a little bit?
Well, so the wastewater treatment plant runs independently from us, but we do like their data.
Yeah.
So anytime anyone has any of their wastewater go to the treatment plant, we do screenings. Well, they do screenings three times a week. They take little samples, and actually it tells us a lot about the health of our community. They can see COVID-19, viral shedding, flu, influenza. When we had that polio case in New York, they did a couple test samples of polio just to see if we saw any in our water. And when we had bird flu in our community, we did have some high cases of bird flu I was asked about and where that could come from. And I kind of thought of all the geese that we have in Jackson County, of course, probably being a source, but it kind of tells us what's going on in our community and what type of viruses we have.
Have you been out to that treatment plant before?
I haven't.
It is quite the operation.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So do we have any of these things circulating in our community?
We do. So right now, and this is kind of across the nation, flu and RSV viruses are kind of low in the wastewater treatment plant, but they're rising, and that's pretty typical. Usually we start seeing that greater rise in November, December, continuing through January. Right now, COVID-19 is higher than those. It hit a high really in late August, early September, and it's kind of plateaued. We're waiting to see if that's going to go up again with RSV and flu, or if it's going to come down and let RSV and flu kind of take over.
Bart, you get COVID every year, just like the flu, don't
No,
you?
I've only had it twice.
And you haven't had it at all, and neither have I.
I've
right?
actually had it 3 times.
3 times?
I've had all of my vaccines, my
Really?
boosters. I like to go out and have a good life and stay active in the community. I do a lot of outreach. I like to see my friends who live out of state, and I actually just got COVID-19 in Seattle. Took precautions. I had my mask with me. At one point, I took it out of my pocket to put it on, and it fell on the floor, face side down, and I was like, you know what, I just won't wear that. And then I came home, and the next day I had COVID.
It's always in other states. I brought it back
is.
from California. I didn't have it. I was just a carrier, I believe. And then you ended up having it for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I
so
had it.
Sorry about that.
It's different now. I mean, it was every time you get it, it's different, I think.
Yeah. Mine this time, I was only really out of it for 3 or 4 days, but it took me probably 2 weeks to really feel like myself. I was just very tired. And what we're seeing nationally is COVID-19 is resulting in less death overall. So there's some really positive things with COVID-19. A lot of people have had it before, or they've had one or more vaccines, and this really does help with the protection. People are getting less sick from COVID-19. There are still some people at risk, of course. There are still a lot of deaths from COVID-19. Especially in individuals 75 and older.
Let's talk flu. This is, I actually hadn't even thought about the flu shot until this morning. It just depends on, it seems like we talk about it at a different time of fall per year. But are you encouraging people to get their flu shots now or wait?
I am. So I usually tell people 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, it is the best time to get it because it takes 2 weeks for that flu shot to become effective. And everyone kind of gathers and sees their friends 2 weeks there. What the CDC is recommending, their catchphrase at this point is flu before boo. So they're looking at the flu shot before Halloween. And so that's kind of the time. And we don't really see a rise in cases until November, December traditionally. So that gives you plenty of time for your immune system to kind of kick into gear and develop those antibodies.
I hate the flu.
I got my flu shot last week, and last night I got my COVID shot. And my COVID vaccination card, it's all filled up.
Really?
Yeah.
I've had every one.
Do you write down there on how many times you've
no.
had COVID too?
No, I didn't put that on there. But I would imagine it would be milder. I got hit milder because I had the vaccine. I tried to get the RSV, but they were fresh out.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
You had RSV
Okay.
last year too, right?
Probably.
You did have RSV.
And there's a lot of things that circulate this time of year, right? There's rhinoviruses, so the common colds. There's over 100 different ways for us to get the common cold. But right, there's flu, there's COVID, there's RSV. One of the things I get asked about all the time is, what do I have?
Yeah.
And we all know you get tired, you get a sore throat, a runny nose, and a cough. Those are symptoms of all of those illnesses.
Aside from getting vaccinated, what else can people do to protect themselves?
Yeah, I think it's the things we've been hearing for years, right? And the things we knew well before COVID-19, which is stay away from people who are sick, good hand hygiene, washing our hands, getting good ventilation. So opening a window or having a good air purifier are actually really good things that did really come from 2020, where people do have better air purifiers in their homes and things.
How do you think the overall health of our community is?
I think we're doing a lot better. Some of the things that I really look at are things like vaccination rates and hospitalization rates, and we work closely with our partners and things like that in the community too. We know people are starting to get not only their vaccines more regularly, but also more oral health screenings and things like that too, which I think are really important. And I think there's a lot of attention on things like hearing and vision tests and other things that make us well and healthy in the community.
Matthew, what happens to public health departments? We're looking at these hurricanes and things like that. You look at what's happened in North Carolina and South Carolina. In a disaster situation like that, where your services are gone essentially, what are these people doing?
I think that at the health department, we prepare for several different emergencies. The emergencies where we're the primary responder are going to be those illness related, but more so in the sense that if there was something like, we prepare a lot for things like anthrax, since 9/11 and things like that. We're prepared to be a dispensing site. We're prepared to get the pills passed out to 160,000 people in 48 hours. Those are the types of drills we practice or talk through.
Wow.
Things like hurricanes. We might be looking for opportunities in the communities to help our other partners. Who needs water? Who needs food? Who do we need to check on? But it's more of a opportunity for us to look at how we can help.
Yeah.
All right, being vaccination season, besides me, who else should get these various vaccinations?
Yeah, I think there's a vaccine really for most of us in the community. The people who are most at risk from COVID-19, influenza, RSV are children under the age of 5 and adults 75 and older, 60 and older. Is fantastic to get those vaccines to protect yourself. I think one of the newer vaccines I'd really like to emphasize is the RSV vaccine. So this one's new. This has been around for 2 years. Pregnant people, they can get vaccinated with the RSV vaccine at 32 to 36 weeks, and those antibodies, that protection, passes on to that infant for that RSV season, and they don't need to get any type of protection.
It's once in a lifetime for the vaccine, RSV vaccine?
No,
It is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's once in a lifetime for the RSV vaccine at this point. It's newer though, so in 10 years, maybe it looks like there needs to be a booster or something, but for now, the idea is it should be good.
Awesome. All right, well, you can get even more information on everything we talked about and so much more from the Jackson County Health Department. Matthew, good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
RN Matthew Budd, Deputy Director of the Jackson County Health Department. More of the morning show after this.